Schmack 'em a gob, it's time for another great Beatles episode, Mr. Phil. You are an expert. I don't know if I showed you this. I think I did. We got a comment on the last video where this guy goes, I know everything about the Beatles, and this guy puts me to shame.
I have to admit, I was showing off a little bit because I didn't know this was going to be a series. So we decided kind of after the show was done that we should probably do some more of these. I'm like, so this one's going to be way more focused on our topic today. Not just all over the place of me, show off a little bit, but I'll kind of, keep it focused in.
No, but the last episode was awesome, and it was so much fun, and I learned so much from you that I'm looking forward to this too.
Awesome.
And you notice I'm wearing a ragged shirt that I just can't get rid of because it's a Beatles whiteout shirt. That's how I'm ready for this. So, all right, man. So, I told Phil that I was gonna get the deluxe, but I didn't. But I have the vinyl, and
this is the numbered one. Look at you.
Well, yeah, but look at the number.
I wish they would have put numbers on the box set. There you go. Okay, but mine is numberless.
Yeah, the box set was it was knocked down to less than $200. I was gonna go buy it, and they jacked it up again.
Oh man, the deluxe vinyl. Oh, sorry, the deluxe CD with the Blu-ray is like $260.
Oh, that I don't have. I didn't even know that existed. What's the Blu-ray in that?
It's the Atmos mix, the surround mix.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's the only way you can get that one is through the Blu-ray. So I wanted to hear the surround. I heard the surround mix of the White Album was great, but I guess I'll have to pass on that for $260.
Yeah, and I'm gonna wait till it goes down again. But I did buy this when it was new. This is the deluxe without the. But it has is it called the Escher demos? Is that the
I've heard it called Escher and Escher, and I don't know which one is actually correct. But I got the vinyl with the Escher demos or Escher demos.
And okay, that I need to get, but that's what I saw was jacked up again. So I wanted to buy that and then do this episode, but then I was like, wait a second, I got this, and it's very expensive. So
the sessions are cool. If you want to hear the sessions and alternate takes. Anybody has Apple Music, maybe on Spotify possibly too, but Apple Music has them all, and that's where I listened to them when they first came out. And they're really interesting. It's a lot. You got 30 songs to deal with on this one, so there's a lot of material.
Oh yeah, and I want to talk about what's on the record too, not just the Escher demos.
Yeah,
like this will definitely be a two-parter.
Yeah, totally. With me, absolutely.
It'll definitely be a two-parter. So where is what is Escher? Where's that at? In England?
It's George's house.
Oh, okay.
It was where George's house was, and when in early May '68, they got together at George's house at his home studio, the three writers, and recorded the songs that they had written in India. Because earlier that year they had gone to Rishikesh, India, to the Maharishi's meditation retreat, and wrote a bunch of songs. And so they got together at George's place in early May, which is what this is, the Escher demos is. And I've had a copy of that for a while, but it was a downloaded, really bad mix. So what the cleaned up version on any of the box sets you get is absolutely fantastic. It sounds like they're sitting in the room. You got headphones on. It's like they're sitting there, and it's just them acoustic guitars, and you can hear them, others hand clapping in the back, and helping, very rudimentary overdubs and things, and they're really charming, and they're really great to listen to.
Oh yeah, and so you want to get into let's get into the normal album first.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. It opens with Back in the USSR. Now I've heard rumblings through the years, so maybe you can clarify it. I know they're big Beach Boys fans, but in a way they were kind of doing a mock of the Beach Boys with California Girls, like talking about Russian girls. Is that
true? And I've even heard where Mike Love, because Mike Love was at the meditation retreat as well. He was a follower of the Maharishi. I've heard that Mike Love actually told McCartney, like, you know what, you should take that song and do this with it. do a thing with us. So, you know, who knows about if that's actually true, but I've heard that, but you know, who knows what Mike Love. But yeah, it's Paul playing everything on this song.
Oh,
So
interesting.
that's when Ringo quit.
That's right. Yeah.
Ringo quit for a few days, and Paul, I believe, just played drums on 2 songs. We'll get to that later, just later actually. But yeah, Paul plays everything on this one, and it's a great pot boiler, as George Martin calls a good opening album track.
What a great rockin' tune! What a great way to start the album.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love that the plane sound and everything just kicks off everything great.
I love it. Yeah, yeah. The whole the sound effect. I mean that's kind of impressive for the time. You think
That's actually they had to go to an airport and record there wasn't sound effects like databases like there are. So they had to go record a plane, and that's how they got that.
Amazing. All right, the next one I believe is about Mia Farrow's sister.
Mm-hmm. Prudence Farrow.
Dear Prudence, where she wouldn't come out.
And she wouldn't come out of her bungalow at the retreat. She meditated the whole time and just stayed, and they never saw her, hardly. And Paul plays drums on this one as well.
Wow. Is this the only 2?
I think so.
Just this song, I don't understand. I mean, it is very well heralded and loved, but it's not a radio staple, which is odd.
No, it isn't, but it is one of the. I think for me, this is one of my top songs on the album, if not the Beatles, and definitely one of John's best songs. John was on fire on this, and he just wrote great songs. And what's cool about the demos is most of these songs, when you listen to them, they're pretty much already there. Like the arrangements, and John already had the finger picking thing. The Donovan showed him how to do the ding, get bump, that little pattern. Mm-hmm. He used that a lot on the record, and just the drumming on this and the bass line is so great.
It's amazing how in the pocket Paul is with every song on bass lines.
So awesome. Makes the whole thing move. The guitar part is actually pretty difficult to play. I'm wondering if there's some easy way to play it that I'm not figuring out, because it's pretty tricky. And just Paul just matched it perfect. And I don't know what the order was, if Paul played drums with the acoustic guitar or if John tracked the guitar alone. I'm not sure how that went down, but it'll be in this book. But but yeah, I love that one. That's a great tune. It was produced great. It just sounds good.
It is also one of my favorites on here. Next one, Glass Onion, which I'll tell you a funny story, was when I saw Paul McCartney in 2010.
Yeah.
I believe it was called Joe Robbie Stadium at the time. There was a plane with a little banner in the back that said the walrus was Paul, or the walrus is Paul.
Oh, that's funny.
Which I thought was so cool, you know. And what a clever song. And it's one of these songs that references a lot of the older tunes, and it's pretty heavy.
I love another one of my favorite John songs, like, period. Yeah, it's a really good hard rocker, and I think it would sound good played that way, like through Marshalls and Les Pauls, and that's one of the things you could kind of like play in that manner, and it would be great. Yeah, I love Glass Onion. Cool lyrics, and you know, he's kind of taking the piss out of, you know, the band, kind of, you know, with all kinds of references to previous tunes.
Yeah, and there was the thing about Glass Onion too that I really liked was the anthology version. It's a goal. You know.
Yeah.
It's like a whole new song, like the way they, you know, and it's cool how, you know, I mean, I really love that anthology version, but this version makes more sense for the album. But it's just so cool. That's what I love about the anthology. A lot of those songs have extra little, how you can say, kitchen sink stuff.
Yeah.
That really works, you know.
They were really good at editing. That's the thing about the Beatles. They knew when you hear the alternate takes and you hear like a backing vocal that didn't make it through, And then you think about it, like, yeah, they made the right call. They were really good at editing things out. Like we talked about in the Revolver, like some of the Taxman backup vocals were, maybe that wouldn't work. They were so good at editing out that stuff.
Oh yeah, awesome song. Then we got Obladi Oblada. Now, again, I want to go back to that 2010 show. When he played this song, it was the highlight of the show for the audience.
Yeah.
Because the audience just went berserk. Because I believe that was the first time he ever played that live was during that tour. I'm not sure if he did it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Beforehand. But when he played that, I mean, the place was jumping, man. I was very, very amazed by how well that went over live.
People love that song. They really, really do. He made the Beatles go through take after take after take, and they hated him for it. They were all like, I know the take that is on it, John was so angry that he played the intro. It's like, all right, motherfucker, we're gonna play it fast. That's the take that was on the album. He's so mad at Paul from going, nope, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Hated him for it.
It's such
my favorite. It's not one of my favorites. It's just, I don't know. It's a great tune. I don't skip it or anything. But you know, it's not one of my top ones off the album.
Yeah, my guitar player is a huge Beatles fan. Absolutely detests this song. I was like,
yeah. That's kind of common with Beatles fans to hate this song. Yeah,
including John.
Including John. Yeah,
he hated it. But I just think it's a cool, fun song. It's just a fun tune. You know?
It's fun. There's nothing wrong with it at all.
And of course, Obladi Oblada doesn't mean anything, right?
Now that you remind me, there was an African musician in the studio.
Was it a Jamaican guy?
Jamaican guy. That's what a Jamaican guy. And he said, I think he may have said the phrase, and he tried to get money out of him later. And oh man, I forgot all about that until you said that. But I probably got the story all wrong. But yeah.
Yeah, because I remember Paul said something like the guy was just saying Obladi Oblada, man, something like that.
Right.
Everything's good or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I dig the tune. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but there's nothing I dislike about it.
Yeah.
Now the next one's kind of odd. Wild Honey Pie. Oh no, yeah, Wild Honey Pie is the weird one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Which I love that actually made it on the album, because there was a lot of, this could have been 3 records because they had enough stuff being worked on. They could have been 3. I'm glad that this kind of stuff made it on there, just because you're getting, like, they covered so much musical ground with this. It's almost like when you look at when it came out, it's almost like every song invented a genre.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many things going on here, and I love quirky stuff like Wild Honey Pie, and I'm like, it always just lets you know that they didn't take it too seriously, and they're always kind of still goofing off and still having fun, and that one. And there's some other sneaky, like really, really, really small, short segments that are in later tunes, but like segue stuff that I think make the record something really special.
Oh, yeah, it is an odd one, but it doesn't go on too long.
Exactly. It's a good length.
Yeah. And I got to be honest, the next one I didn't get, because I don't know if I said this in the last episode. I got into the Beatles. I mean, I've always known the Beatles all my life. But when in the 80s, they were releasing each CD. And then when they finally released all of them, they released a box with all of them, a wooden box that has since crumbled. Wasn't really great quality. And I bought every Beatles record at the same time. Yeah. And that's how I got into the Beatles, deep dive, was buying all their CDs. There was no internet back then. I couldn't go on YouTube and check. I had there were some songs that I was like, and this is one of them. But this has grown on me so much, because I think what threw me off was the chorus. Hey, Bungalow Bill. You know what I'm saying?
as a kid, when I got this, when I was younger, like in high school or middle school, whatever it was, this took a long time to grow on me because it does have that kind of some weird songs like that. But the older I get, the more I appreciate it, and now it's one of my, it's one of my favorite ones. But yeah, you're right. This song is an odd one.
Yeah, but the verses are just godly.
Yeah,
when he just goes into and even that weird chorus, I get it now. I don't think that song would work without that chorus now. Or back then it was like, oh, take that chorus out and just leave those verses.
yeah.
But I like the whole, because again, it's just different. It's like pretty much this album, every song's different on it, except I would say some of the Paul acoustic stuff like Mother Nature's Child, Blackbird and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
Same realm, but everything else is just out there.
This one is a true story from something that happened at the ashram at Maharishi's. So, in the line, all-American bullet-headed Saxon mother's son. Okay, there was a guy there. There was an American mom and her son that were followers of the Maharishi. And during the retreat at one point, the kid leaves to go on a hunting expedition. One of the kinds where they like have the captive hunting, not really hunting. It's just kind of like, going to shoot something that they're kind of keeping for you. So he got back and everybody's kind of giving him hell about it. And he's a young kid, like in his 20s. It's like, can you imagine going to that and having the Beatles giving you shit like on your case about something? So the kid really felt bad about it. And so as he grew up, he never went hunting again. That was the last time he ever went hunting. I don't know if his name was Bill or not. I can't think of his name. But his name's out there. I mean, it's an actual story, and his mom and everything fits in the story perfectly.
And I believe it's the only Beatles song that features Yoko, right? Is there another one where she sings?
She's singing backup on some stuff, but it's like with Patty Harrison will be singing some stuff too. But yeah, the only one that she's featured solo vocal, pretty sure, yeah. And that was Paul's line. And when they were cutting it, and George was like, or John's like, come here, Yoko, sing this. Paul just like got disgusted and walked out of the studio.
Oh, wow.
Out of the room. Yeah, that was Paul's line.
Wow, I didn't know that. So he only had one little line in the song.
That's when he looks so fierce. Yeah.
All right. Then we got, I love this one. Happiness is a Warm Gun.
Yep. These two go really good. I think, you skipped one.
Oh, I did. While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The George and radio staple with Eric Clapton on guitar, I believe.
Clapton on guitar.
This is shoot me, Phil. I can't get into this song, man.
I love this one. I think it's one of George's best. I mean, he came out of the gate like this is on fire. The Easter demo version is I don't know if I like it even better than this, but I like it as much as him on solo acoustic guitar. Just fantastic. Clapton's Clapton. I mean, just absolutely. I think he just cut the solo, and it was kind of like a cool tone. And then George was like, "We got to make that more Beatley," and they put a Leslie on it, and so that's why the warble is in there. It does sound very Beatley. It's a Beatley tone because of that. But I love this tune. You can't. And what I love about it is the two bass parts. On the Rick Rubin McCartney thing, the 3-2-1, they isolate the bass tracks in this song. It's like you realize what really that part is. It's McCartney's just almost playing like with a pick, and it's just like gung, gung, gung. He's playing power chords with the bass. Gung, gung, gung. It is so heavy. If you haven't seen that part on the 3-2-1, find it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I got to see. I've heard good things about it. I still have not watched that.
Yeah.
I do like the acoustic version, though. I got to say.
It's so good.
The anthology. It was on the anthology, I believe.
I think it was on the anthology.
Yeah.
We did make it on that one. It's on that's from the Esher demos. But yeah, I think they did put that one on there.
Now, Happiness is a Warm Gun is almost 50-ish. Sounds like 50s music a little bit. And
actually, you're totally right, because John called this his history of rock and roll. because you got starts through and he has like the heavier part, then he has the doo-wop, happiness. That part's the 50s part. So that was what John was kind of taking you through the history of rock up to 68.
Amazing
But
song.
I love it. I love all the time changes. The Mother Superior jump. That's tricky stuff.
Oh yeah. And yeah, I heard George Martin wasn't a big fan of this. This album in general, he thought it could have been a good one, a single album. But yeah, exactly.
What are you going to cut out? I mean, the reason it's so great and special is because of all these things in it that are just, for the time, unheard of, just for on a pop, like a pop band's album. They redefined what you could do and what you could put on a rock record. You know, it's incredible.
And again, another flavor to the album.
Yeah.
Making something a little different. All right, the next one, Paul wrote a song about his dog.
It's about his dog, and then this is the first song on side 2 of album 1. So you got all those tunes, and Martha My Dear starts. It's about his dog, but I think when you listen to it, the lyrics don't really go with the dog at all. So it's like he probably started that way, and then kind of could be about a real girl, and who knows.
Was that a big shepherd dog with a lot of hair?
Yeah, that's Martha.
Because I think I seen pictures of it during the Ram era.
Yep.
Yeah.
And on the cover of Paul is Live, that live record he put out in the
90s. Yeah.
That is actually one of Martha's puppies.
No way.
So he kept all the puppies. So he may still have a sheepdog now, and if he does, it's one of Martha's lineage.
Wow, I did not know that.
But what made me love this song even more, this is probably one of my favorite McCartney, like, bouncy piano kind of tunes. Yeah. I love the horn arrangement. It's so great. Ringo's playing great drums on it. But I love it in the Get Back documentary when Paul's playing on there and he's got this kid sitting next to him. And Paul's just playing piano and describing writing songs, and like, he's like, certain old songs have a way of going, and they just go, and he's playing. And the kid, you can tell the kid knows what's happening. He realizes he's having his mind blown, and McCartney just starts playing this song, because this was just, the White Album had come out like 6 weeks before this stuff. So the White Album was still very, very new when they were doing the Get Back sessions. And I love that scene of him and that kid. And just because it's just a kid working at the studio, some intern or something. And Paul's just playing him and talking to him. And, it's incredible. I forgot the kid's name. I'd love to hear an interview with that kid about that moment, But it's a great moment. Great song.
I absolutely love this song.
I do too.
Definitely a deep track on here.
Yeah.
I would have to say, believe it or not, my favorite is the next one. I'm So Tired.
Mine might be that too. Yeah.
That is my favorite song on the White Album. I just think it's one of those songs that just gets stuck in your head, even if you haven't heard it for months.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all get tired. And there's those moments of, I'm so tired. And it's like, I'm so tired. And it won't leave my head till I go to sleep.
Yeah, John had good sleeping songs. I'm Only Sleeping.
Yeah.
This one is definitely one of his ashram tunes. John came back from India pretty broken. Like, I think this photo of him, like, speaks volumes compared to like 1967 Pepper John, smiling, vivacious, and that he looks terrified, lost, and shell-shocked. Like,
do you think that had to do with Brian Epstein's death?
I think a lot of it had to do with Epstein's death. I think a lot of it had to do with he got way more into drugs than the other Beatles did. He was devouring acid. The other Beatles had kind of given it up in '67. John went right for it, and he got into more drugs, and then he went from that to the meditation retreat where you're meditating 8 hours a day. That's a lot of brain work, especially for a guy as complex, but he had a lot of issues going into all that stuff. And he dealt with all that stuff even after the Beatles, primal therapy, like the primal screaming therapy and all kinds of stuff. So he came back from that really kind of broken and kind of had to build him up. And I think a song like "I'm So Tired," when you look at the lyrics and read them, it is what he was going through at the meditation retreat. You know, it's 3 weeks. I'm going insane. You know, you can tell it's 3 weeks into the thing. I'm going insane. I give you everything I've got for a little peace of mind. He was having a hard time there. He was not like, it wasn't really a joyous thing that kind of George was kind of like, you know, finding God and all this stuff. John was kind of in being like a nightmare. And this is one of those tunes that's pretty, it's pretty heavy. It's a great tune. Probably maybe my favorite John song, maybe. It's so good. It's super honest too. And you could tell like when he's like, I'm going insane. It's like he's losing his mind. And it's, you know, it's got a great vocal. The way it's so slow, but it's still plot. You know, it's not plotting, but it's slow. It's just you feel it. You can feel him so tired. You feel he can't do anything. He can't function. You know, it's such a great tune.
Who's Walter Madley?
Walter Madley.
He's like curse old Walter Madley. He's such a stupid get.
Walter Raleigh, the guy who started
Riley.
who developed cigarettes.
Oh,
so he was the guy who's kind of credited with inventing the cigarette, or figuring out you could smoke tobacco. So that's why he says that line after the cigarette line in the song.
Oh, that's awesome.
Sir Walter Raleigh. Couldn't curse Sir Walter Raleigh. He was such a stupid get. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And there's just, I mean, John is my favorite vocalist. And I'll give you an example. I mean, how amazing is John's voice on this boy?
It's incredible.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he could do rock and roll screams, but he could put them in a way like this boy. He could sing, and he had a great low range too. He had a really, really good range as a singer, and great character. And it's just, you know, he could make his voice work so many things. He could sing angry, like Mother, like a song like that, and like Cold Turkey. Like later on, you can really feel him going, you know, kicking heroin, and it's great. He had a lot of character in his voice, and it was honest voice too. Like when they started writing songs about their lives instead of about girls and things like that, you could really tell what was going on in John's life.
And I was listening today. It came on my shuffle. Please, Mr. Postman.
Oh yeah,
pop little ditty, but his singing on that.
Jeez. That twist and shout. I mean, he killed all that stuff. He had a great early rock and roll voice. You know, he really one of the great rock voices. You know, this band had two of the greatest rock singers ever. You know, it's amazing.
Oh yeah, and then we got what's next after that?
Blackbird.
Blackbird.
Yeah,
amazing song about. I never knew. I always thought it was about a blackbird, but it's a blackbird. How the British people call girls birds.
Exactly.
And which is great because the Beatles. Even I was watching like not too long ago the 8 Days a Week.
I love that. It's a great.
And the part where Brian Epstein was like, "Oh no," when they were, "No, we're playing that show. We're not playing that show if it's segregated."
Yeah,
you know, and like you weren't allowed to say stuff like that, you know, especially during that time.
Not in America, no way.
And they were like, everybody should come see our show. And I believe that is incorporated in this song. You know, where it's like, but you know, I mean, like me as a kid, or you know, when I bought this, I had no idea until you know I started learning about the Beatles.
Yeah,
and it's a beautiful song and a concert staple for Paul.
Oh yeah. Once he started doing Beatles tunes in Wings shows, this was one of those that he put in there, and yeah, this is one of his main staple tunes.
Yeah, the one of the last time. Go ahead.
It was one of the first things, like when I became like proficient enough, like it became one of the first things, like when I got an acoustic guitar, it's like, well, you got to learn Blackbird, you know. But I still don't play it right because Paul has this, well, his as the left hand strumming thing, he has this very cool index finger thing that he does that I can't do. I'm still trying to get right, but yeah, it's wonderful song, just incredible.
Have you seen the footage of him with the wooden shoes?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love that.
There's like 3 hours of that footage, and I'm hoping that's what is doing Peter Jackson's doing next. Is like there's 3 hours of White Album footage.
Wow.
And so just like that, and there's other stuff that I've seen in, you know, really grainy documentaries on YouTube and stuff where it gets pulled down. Yeah, I'm really hoping that they get hold of that and they can do something like special with it and clean it up like they did Get Back. So, yeah, it's so cool. Because when you hear that, it is him tapping his feet. You know, it's so cool.
And it's like maybe on purpose he put on wooden shoes to get that sound.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. Last time I saw him do it, he levitated. Like,
oh, wow.
yeah, he was up like 20 feet. You know, like the stage went up and he played it.
And then did they spit blood? No.
Yeah, and he flew. All right. Then we got
Piggies.
oh, I love Piggies.
I love Piggies too.
I love this song. This is a great George song.
Yeah.
And again, very different, just out of left field. And I love his voice on it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you know what the song's about?
Just you know, greedy corporate greed.
Okay.
You know, he was kind of not only was he the Beatle that was always talking about like how much money they're not making, how much money they're spending. He was always that guy, but he was also the one. You know, I remember when they were, you know, Taxman. The song Taxman is about, you know, the 95% tax in England. You know, they had a super tax of the real rich, 95%. And his main gripe was, well, they're taking my money and they're buying all these bombers with it. Now, I don't want my money to go to that. So that was his thing. So he was always the first one to talk about their money and also about, you know, corporate greed and, you know, people not doing the right thing and just having more and more and more. So, and that's also one of the ones that tied him to the Manson murders was, you know.
Oh yeah, they wrote it, right? They wrote
Yeah.
it on the wall or something.
Yeah, but I love the orchestration in this one. George Martin just killed all the harpsichord parts. Incredible stuff.
Then, like a decade later, Roger Waters did the same thing. Wrote a song called "Pigs."
Absolutely.
About politicians and stuff.
Right here first. Yeah, exactly. Totally.
Awesome. All right, then. I love this one, Rocky Raccoon.
Yeah, this is a cool one.
I love the anthology version when he says "sminking."
Sorry, schmeeking. Yeah, I do too. I love that. Oh, really schmeeking, man. Yeah, I love that too. Good storyteller song. It was just a good like campfire thing, and I love it. Good vibe.
Kind of like a Western type vibe to it. And you can even, I mean, just the sound of it, you can picture like the saloon and all that stuff. I mean, really captured the essence of the story in this song.
It was really cool. He kind of affects his voice a little bit, sound a little bit southern and everything, and does a really cool job. And not much instrumentation. Pretty much just Paul and maybe a guitar. I can't really think of. There's some good backing vocals. The da 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 ooh, and some oohs. Really good backing vocals in this song. Where you might think a song like this wouldn't have that kind of attention. You know, because it could have just been one guitar, but he put a little bit extra in it, you know.
It's really catchy. And again, I gotta say, it took me a little bit. I don't think it took me that long, but first couple times I heard, I was like, eh. But now, man, it's like, again, I would put it up in my top 5 of the White Album.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. I wouldn't be my top 5, but I do enjoy it just because it's really different.
And then Ringo comes in.
Fine, got a Ringo pinned tune.
Yeah, fine. Oh, Ringo wrote this.
Yeah, this is
Ringo original. Yeah, that's awesome. Did he write a lot in the Beatles, or is this?
They gave him a writing credit on "What Goes On" off Rubber Soul. I think he wrote a couple lines, and I think they may have been like, because George had a couple at that point too, and they may have been like, let's give him a break. Let's give him a couple, you know, give him a credit. And then on Flying, they're all 4 off off Master Mission Tour. They're all 4 credited on that song.
Yeah, I heard a John Lennon interview where he said that he pretty much wrote Taxman. Did you ever read that one?
He put a lot of the lines with humor in them. Those were John's.
But he didn't get credit for it, right?
But see, then George says he came up with all the lonely people in Eleanor Rigby.
Oh,
Because he came up with that and didn't get any credit. So that's George's kind of like, okay.
well, I mean, you were in the Gene Simmons band. Are you aware of Cold Gin? Of what Gene did in Cold Gin?
No,
All
no.
right. And believe me, he must have been naive because Gene would never do something and not get credit.
Exactly.
Dun, 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 dun. He came up with that, and
Really?
he didn't get credit for it. And I was like, no way Gene would do that today.
So that's a Fraley solo credited tune.
No, it's only Fraley.
Wow.
And Gene, next time you talk to Gene, ask him about that because I heard him say that in an interview. He came up with that middle section.
No
And
shit. I didn't know that.
did not see. We educate each other, Phil.
I like it. I didn't know that, man. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, next time you talk to him, bring that up. Bring that up to him.
I'll bring that up.
I'm sure he'll be like, I messed up, man.
Yeah.
Because Gene, he would love to have credit on that now.
Oh,
It's first album. You can understand why he was probably naive at that point,
sure.
publishing and such.
Yep.
All right.
Guys, for sure. There's all kinds of mistakes they made that they paid for in a couple of years after this,
And by the way, I love this song, this Ringo's tune. It's a nice little upbeat number.
But the best line in it is, "You were in a car crash and you lost your hair." It's like, okay.
So you can tell John and Paul didn't write those lyrics.
Yeah. But, I think they probably did on this one help out. They normally did help out each other. Not necessarily getting a credit for it, but they were always around. But yeah, this is okay. I to be honest, are you familiar with the Ruddles?
Yes.
Okay, I kind of like "Living in Hope" better than this song. The spoof of this song,
Right.
sung by Barry Wham. I kind of like that song better than this one, actually. But it's a fun tune. I love Ringo's voice, and it's a fun song.
And then we got Why Don't We Do It in the Road? Very short, but you know what?
I absolutely love every bit of this song.
And isn't it great that it's that short? Like if you were add to it, it probably wouldn't be as good.
It would lose it. It would lose the humor. It would lose the shock value. And it's like, okay, it's been on too long. But it's just so great. It's one line. It's Paul. It's a vocal exercise. It's him doing his R&B, and he goes into, well, it's before Prince, but the Prince, the falsetto thing.
Yeah.
It's just raw and dirty, and I love it.
Yep. Yeah. Ain't nobody watching us. Why don't we do it in a row? Why would it? I mean, that's all it says.
Which was written again about Maharishi. Monkeys would just do it in the road.
Oh, that's why.
And so that's what and then Paul started thinking about well, why are humans not that classless? Why are humans? And I was like, well, because we're humans and not monkeys. So that was what inspired that.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's and kind of risque, for the time,
Yeah, totally. Now, okay, this right here, this song into the next song is probably like one of the best sequencing decisions. The sequencing of this album took them a long time to figure out, obviously. And I think it's brilliant how it actually is laid out. And this next song, I Will, following this song, to me is hilarious because it's Why Don't We Do It in the Road with Paul McCartney, and then I Will by Paul McCartney. Same guy, the opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, you've got this filthy, tune right here, just the rawest thing he ever did, and then I Will, which is Paul being Paul.
Yeah,
It's
little beautiful love song.
Yeah, it's amazing sequencing, hilarious,
and also both very short and to the point.
To the point. This one has Paul singing the bass part on it.
Really?
Boom. He's not playing the bass.
Oh, really?
Boom. Listen to it again, and you'll totally hear it.
Oh, wow.
And you'll go, I can't believe I hadn't heard this before. Yeah, Paul's not playing bass. He sang it. He did 67 takes of this song, and take 65 is the one that is on here.
Wow. And it was always this short, all those versions.
Yeah, but I love this. I love this song so much. I really always have. It's just beautiful.
No,
It's one of Paul's favorite songs of his too.
it's a gorgeous song.
Gorgeous.
And then we end the first album with a song that John wrote about his mom.
Yep.
Julia, very soft, very beautiful.
Beautiful. Using the same Donovan acoustic pattern that Dear Prudence has. The same exact kind of right hand fingerstyle pattern that that one has. But it's funny, like he used it on the same, and he also used it in the beginning of Bungalow Bill. No, sorry, Warm Gun. The same thing. The same trick 3 times on the same record, and you don't notice it until you're like, oh, yeah, it is the same pattern. And it's like he just knows how to use stuff like that. But great, what a, again, heart-wrenching song is Julia was hit by a drunk off-duty policeman when John was 16. So that's how his mother died.
Yep, and that was one of the connections he had with Paul, because Paul's mom died when he was young as well.
Yeah, she had cancer. I think that when he was 14, I think. So that was one of the things that brought them together, yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful song.
Really is. And there's also got a note to Yoko in there, because Yoko is Japanese for ocean child. So ocean child called me. That's to Yoko. And also, you've heard interviews with John, and he never referred to Yoko as Yoko. He called her mother.
Yeah.
He called her mother. So there's a whole, that would take some therapy unpacking to dig all of that. But there's kind of, messages to his mother, Julia, and his mother, Yoko in there too.
Also, the anthology version of Julia, he does that. Oh, Yoko.
Yoko, no.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's on the E-shirt. I'm on the E-shirt demos on here too. Yeah.
Right on. Well, I guess I'll break down the third wall and say that we're not stopping now, but we are going to end this episode, and we're going to continue, and I'll put part 2 up probably tomorrow or however long it takes. But this is the conclusion of this episode. Phil, you have anything you'd like to plug?
Oh, no. I'm home hanging out. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving, and I hope everybody has a good holiday season coming up, and listen to more Beatles.
So yeah, tune in to part 2, because I'm sure Phil's got more information on because not only are we gonna talk about the second album, we're gonna go into the Esher demos on this next episode. So tune in. Thanks for being here, Phil, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you right now, but I'm just saying on this channel, I'll see you tomorrow or something.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.